Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about why I'm choosing to remain single. And the reason I'm talking about this now is because I had a conversation with my mom this morning and we touched on that subject. And that gave me the opportunity to revisit that, part of my life and to reconfirm my decision to stay single. Now, I've never been married, so I can't speak about marriage from experience, but I do have thoughts about it just from observing other people who are married. And what I found is that we're all seeking the same thing. People who are married and myself who is single and want to remain single desire to be happy. And so people who desire to be married is seeking their happiness, or believe, I guess, that they will be happy by commingling their life with this other human. From my perspective, I believe that if I did that, if I partnered with another person in marriage, I would become less happy. So it's just a matter of perspective. So it's a mind play. And I think differently from someone who desires marriage. And that's all it is, basically. But going a little further on the subject of marriage, from what I observe, the depending on someone else, a husband in this case, to supply me, and I'm just going to refer to myself here because I don't want to talk about others. But if I were to depend on another person to supply me with the happiness that I need in my life, I think I'd be taking a big risk because, that individual, first of all, doesn't know exactly what I need to be happy. I can try to tell them how I want them to treat me so that I can be happy. But first of all, it's they maybe they don't want to treat me in that way, or maybe they can't, or maybe they will try and fail at it. So to me, it's a big risk that I would be taking if I were to depend on another person for my happiness. So fortunately for me, I have throughout my life developed a method of how to remain emotionally stable and happy internally so that I don't have to depend on a spouse or a lover to make me happy. Now, with that said, the other reasons for getting married, such as romance, sex, and that sort of thing, maybe even having children or religious beliefs, let me take religious beliefs out of it for now and just say sex and romance and having children. Well, I've often used the phrase, and some people, open their eyes wide when I say it, but my thought is, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? So why would I enter into a marriage situation that in my mind will create stress for me if all I want is from the other person is romance? I want them to make me feel special somehow, and or I even want to give them or have them feel special by my actions, or all I want is sex, or both, or even a child or children. So these things can be had without entering into a marriage contract. And that is my true opinion. Now, when you throw religion or religious beliefs into that, it doesn't fit because, it's obvious. People who are Christians, for example, believe that it is having sex outside of marriage or children outside of marriage or anything like that outside of marriage is wrong. And they're right in believing that it is wrong, because why are they right? It's how they're thinking, and that's okay. That's their set of beliefs at that point in their life. So that's just the bottom line for why I'm still single. I also had a thought about the divorce. Okay, I have to think about that because a high percentage of marriages end in divorce, and I have to ask myself why. And there are many, many reasons, such as financial reasons. The vows in marriage say for better or for worse, but the truth is it just depends on how bad worse gets. Everybody has a tolerance threshold, and when it comes to money or sex or abuse, there's just so much a person can take before they want out of the marriage contract. And that's okay too. But from my point of view is, why go in there why enter into the contract in the first place if, I can foresee that the likelihood exists that, it will fail because of some of these factors. There's also the question of boredom. The marriage vows also say, a lot of them, till death do us part. Now, if a person lives, and some even say for time and eternity, which has no end. At least for death, there is an end. But, it depends on how long you live, because after a few years of marriage and the initial bliss wears off, a factor called boredom can enter into the marriage. So one or both of the marriage partners can become bored of each other, maybe not forever, but for a while, but even for a day. But what can they do about it? Well, according to the contracts, most of them, nothing. They just have to sup it up, and stay put. So, again, I'm not saying that people should not be married. I think people should do whatever they want to do. I'm just saying that for me, I think about these things, and I would rather not get into a marriage situation knowing that these difficulties could arise, and not just could, but is likely to arise. And then that's just adding, more stress in my life that to me is avoidable by just not entering into marriage in the first place. So there you have it. That is my opinion about marriage and why I am choosing to remain single. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.